Bane is an interesting character, one who, despite wearing down the bat and breaking him in Knightfall, somehow is uncomfortably not given his due. Feels like a lot of adaptations are stuck in this mindset from Batman the Animated Series of, why not just make him goofy? Huh? A lot of options just opt for this goofy strong guy who can't really break the Batman. If he did so, that was surely just luck. The worst version is easily Arkham Asylum, where he's just a tiny reskin. And there are a few good Bane adaptations that maybe I could count on my hand, but a lot of them really come with a but. Like there has to be some sort of self-destructiveness or something. Out of all the Bane adaptations, there's really only one that I could say have no issues with it. For starters, a bit of isolating of which one. Arkham Origins is a mostly good adaptation, but he does eventually become the rocksteady Arkham Bane. Actually good boss though even ignoring that, he was already kind of a pawn for the Joker and I wasn't really a fan of him not caring for his own life. Dark Knight Rises certainly gives us a pretty competent Bane, but he also has that goofy voice, not really much of a personality to him, he's whitewashed.
There's Injustice Bane, who is my main in the first Injustice game. Not really much within the main story, nothing really wrong, just nothing to really cling on to.
Telltale Batman Bane comes pretty close. I will say despite being part of a whole team of villains, he was less relevant than Joker and their version of Harley. Ultimately did feel kind of reduced. Then there's Young Justice, which I pretty much have no issues with. That's the one. I think the Young Justice show overall is pretty overlooked and overhated, but that's kind of another story. They do a lot of things good, like having the one media adaptation of Bane I have no issues with. Now keep in mind, he's only a guest character who appears 3 times out of 4 20+ episode seasons. So theoretically less room to screw up, but what they do with him is pretty great. So first in his debut episode, season 1 episode 4 Drop Zone. This is the most Bane focus of his episode appearances. It's also worth noting that much like Arkham Origins and Telltale Batman, this is a Bane confronting heroes in an admittedly early stage of Batman's career. The difference here is, it's not Batman, it's Young Justice Team, with admittedly a Robin, but a Robin who's still learning. This is kind of notable because Bane confronted Batman pretty late in his career. 3 Robins in, was able to throw his full rogues gallery at him. He's kind of an endgame boss, so having him confront Batman early in his career is just odd. With Telltale Batman, hearing Bane talk about Batman fighting alone, it's like, right, this is a Batman without Robins. Origins gets away with it a little more since Batman's thrown a lot of very dangerous assassins in this night. Geez, Deathstroke, that's pretty much a headache. But in the greater scheme, still a bit of a reminder that, yeah, this is an early Batman. For all we know, Bane hasn't really met Batman, and kind of works better that way.
If this was Batman in this scenario, he would not fall for Bane's manipulation. He's just looking for Cobra himself. But since they have at best here a Robin who's still learning the ropes, and being immune to Martian telepathy, it's very understandable for Bane to have the head here.
We do get a Bane fighting Batman 7 years later, which we'll get to, but, nice dealing with his earlier version, which is fighting Titans. Now, his first official fight with Mammoth, which a lot of people sort of take offense to, because it's Bane getting defeated, but I think it all sort of adds up. So Bane was first going to fight him without Venom. Then the Cobra leader says, might as well have your greatest weapon. He's like, okay, sure. He has it, he's a scrawny guy, then he gets injected with some juice and Bane's like, oh yeah, I'm dealing with something. Breaking down his fight, Mammoth starts charging at him. Bane gets ready and uses all of his force to block an attack. He does one quick consecutive punch to the face, the most optimal area to in fact attack Brute, and another to the chest, which he gets mildly surprised that overall does nothing. So right off the bat, Bane's actually making plenty of smart battle strategy moves in his fight. Then Mammoth provides several fast consecutive moves, ones which Bane couldn't react fast enough, and he gets knocked out. Not a fan of Bane getting defeated, but you know what? This is a fair fight where Bane at least showed some of his worth. Then there's the rest of the episode where he doesn't have Venom. He's later apprehended by the Young Justice Team. Miss Martian tries to read his mind, but Bane is in fact a disciplined enough mind to counteract her telepathy. Think of it, a Bane in his early years is mentally disciplined enough to take on a Martian. Then he later explains that what he's offering is a win-win for both of them, so the team cautiously goes along with him. They mostly cooperate and face some Cobra people. He of course causes some confusion get away. Now towards the end of this episode, Bane has a moment of explaining his plan to these young heroes, which is a bit foolish of him. Because accounting one of them is a speedster, they quickly thwarted him. But you know what? As far as dumb Bane stuff, it's really nothing. It's a wee bit of cockiness after being several steps ahead of these schmucks, so this is alright. Now, with all the preceding episodes as well as this one, the main factor is really his island of Saint Prisca, which is a resource and even meeting place for a lot of heroes and villains. This Bane is a businessman, works hard for his island. In episode 25, Unusual Suspect, Bane offers his island to be a big meeting place for various villains who have leverage, like Lex Queen Bee and Sportsmaster, as well as various alleged moles like Miss Martian, Artemis, and Superboy. It's all low complex. Later, of course, a whole fight breaks out and he partakes a little.
He does ultimately get defeated by Zatanna, making a bunch of little Robins, which, just considering Zatanna's here in the fight, that would generally be a game over for Bane since that's magic, even if she's a little inexperienced. But she's just giving the little Robin something to do. A fair defeat for Bane, who doesn't really much of a stake in his fight.
Then in Season 3, Episode 10, Exceptional Human Beings. Now 7 years past the first season's events, it's revealed that the League of Shadows are in fact convening on Santa Prisca Island. Training. Bane is certainly a resourceful man. Various heroes, from Batman, Katana, and Metamorpho, in some oddly well-animated sequences for this overall low-budget season, take place. When we reveal Bane, who's ready for a match with Batman, it's revealed that in fact he's no longer on Venom. A crutch, as he said. Excellent stuff. Bane is often used as the Venom guy, so seeing Bane off Venom is great, and he really does keep up with Batman. Also, after Bane, no one gets on Santa Prisca without Bane knowing. Batman lists off all the people throughout Season 1 who clearly did, which is kind of humorous. So ultimately, this is a Bane that has never broken Batman's back, which, you know what, I'm fine with. Sometimes they use that sort of thing as sort of a meme thing. If anything, it shows Young Justice's confidence in its world, where it's like, yeah, we can have a pretty capable Bane, and you know what? He does not need to break Batman's back. And you know what? A venomless Bane is pretty capable of going toe-to-toe with Batman. Jeez. Doing this alongside his sword fight and metamorphoing. He gets a little upset when his guns get destroyed, but after it's all done, the heroes escape. The villains, including Bane, go back to business as usual. So overall, in my opinion, a really solid version of Bane. The only media adaptation of Bane I have no issues with. Not really a big player in the show, but works totally fine, with his own low corner, which is still very strong. He's also voiced by Danny Trejo. If there is anyone who's perfect for Bane, I say it would be him. Just his overall presence. Man. And hopefully, other Banes could take from this Bane.